I'm Dennis Daly. According to author Les Standiford, A Christmas Carol is largely responsible for many of our modern-day observances of the holiday season. Standiford, a noted British scholar, had a marvelous book published about Dickens. It talked about the magic tale of Scrooge, of Cratchit, and of all the ghosts. The story that was first seen on bookshelves in the winter of 1843. In the days before the internet and the telephone and CNN, word of mouth prompted more than 6,000 copies of A Christmas Carol to be sold in just the first 4 days. But the huge sales at first did not make Charles Dickens a wealthy man. The book was highly illustrated and was costly to print. The story soon was well known on both sides of the Atlantic. A new word entered our joint vocabulary, Scrooge, and the world would never be the same. Some of the many changes in society wrought by A Christmas Carol, though, are things we take for granted today. Before the publication of A Christmas Carol, Christmas wasn't really a big deal for many. Some holidays were bigger, especially in the Christian religion, Easter. The story of Scrooge also focused on a single day or two of Christmas, supplanting the tradition of a 12 days of Christmas celebration. Charles Dickens planted in our minds that Christmas should be a day of celebrating and feasting and huge meals and parties. Before A Christmas Carol, not that many people had turkey on Christmas. After A Christmas Carol, turkey was everywhere. And most importantly, Charles Dickens' picture of the wretched conditions of the poor caused a new understanding of the need for civic generosity. So you see, much of what we take for granted today was invented by Charles Dickens, or at least refocused by him with the characters and themes of A Christmas Carol. Marley was dead to begin with. There's no doubt whatever about that. The register of his burial was signed by the clergyman, the clerk, the undertaker, and the chief mourner. Scrooge signed it. And Scrooge's name was good upon change for anything he chose to put his hand to. Old Marley was as dead as a doornail. Scrooge knew he was dead? Of course he did. Scrooge and Marley were partners for I don't know how many years. But he was a tight-fisted hand at the grindstone, was Scrooge, a squeezing, wrenching, grasping, scraping, clutching, covetous old sinner. And once upon a time, on all the good days of the year, on Christmas Eve, old Scrooge sat busy in his counting house, a grim, cheerless place if ever there was one. The door of Scrooge's counting house was open so he might keep his eye on his clerk, Bob Cratchit, who in a cold and dismal little cell beyond worked at his ledgers.
26, 27, 28, carry the 2, 29, that's 131, 30, on Christmas Day to save us. 41, 42, 43, carry the 1, tidings of joy, comfort and joy, all time. Yes, Mr. Scrooge.
Stop that infernal caterwauling!
All right. 38, 39, carry the, 35.
They're singing those horrible Christmas carols in my front door. All right, go on. Get away from my door. Now go somewhere else and bellow your blasted Christmas carols, or I'll give you.
It's one of the old customs of Christmas, don't you know?
Yes, and I don't want any of your old customs. Take your fellow fools and go away. Christmas, bleh.
Yeah, right, sir, and Merry Christmas anyway.
Now, you can get that letter from Higgins and Blackthorn, Cratchit, and then I want you to finish posting this ledger, and then you can pop over to Parthingill's and tell Ephraim Parthingill you've come after the 17 shillings and 6 pence he's owed me since Michaelmas, and tell him I'll have the constable over there if he doesn't pay up at once.
Mr. Parthingill's wife is ill, sir.
Oh, what do I care about his wife? I want my 17 and 6.
Well, I just thought it'd be Christmas, sir.
Christmas! Christmas! If you mention that word one more time, Bob Cratchit, I'll... Oh, Merry Christmas, Uncle! Merry Christmas, Bob!
Merry Christmas, Mr. Fred.
And God save you, Uncle! Oh, bah humbug! Oh, Christmas a humbug, Uncle? Now, I'm sure you don't mean that. I mean just that, exactly that. Merry Christmas! What right do you have to be merry? What reason have you? You're poor enough. Well, have right. And what right do you have to be dismal about Christmas, Uncle? You're rich enough. Oh, bah! No, Uncle, don't be cross. Well, what else can I be when I live in a world of fools? What is Christmas but a time for paying bills without money? Merry Christmas! A time for finding yourself a year older and not an hour richer. If I could work my will, every idiot who goes about with Merry Christmas on his lips would be boiled in his own pudding and buried with a stake of holly through his heart. He should. Oh, Uncle. Now, nephew, you keep Christmas in your way and let me keep it in mine. Keep it? But you don't keep it, Uncle. Well, let me leave it alone then. What do you want, a Christmas gift, I have no doubt? Oh, I just came to wish you a Merry Christmas, Uncle. A Merry Christmas. Much good may Christmas do you. Ha ha ha! Much good has it ever done you. There are many things from which I have derived good, but I've not profited materially. I dare say, Uncle, Christmas among the rest. But I've always thought of Christmas time as a good time. A kind, forgiving, charitable, pleasant time. And therefore, Uncle, though it has never put a scrap of gold or silver in my pocket, I believe it has done me good and will do me good, and I say God bless it!
God bless Christmas! Hurrah!
Let me hear one other sound out of you there, Bob Cratchit, and you'll keep your Christmas by losing your situation. And as to you, nephew, I wonder you don't go into Parliament, you talking of nonsense. Oh, don't be angry, Uncle. I want nothing from you. I ask nothing of you. Why can't we be friends? Good afternoon. I'm sorry you feel that way. Well, I'm tired. Merry Christmas to you, Uncle. Good afternoon. And a Happy New Year. Bah! Humbug. And a Merry Christmas to you, Bob Cratchit, the Missus, and Tiny Tim.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Fred, and same to you. Good day, sir.
Good day, Bob. Oh, nonsense. Twaddle, flummery, talking of Christmas. That man doesn't have 2 sixpence to jingle together in his trousers pocket. Bob, come here. What are you doing over there?
I'm putting a bit more coal on the fire, Mr. Scrooge. It's getting pretty cold in here, sir.
Now put that coal back in the scuttle. A fire. A fire indeed. I can tell you, if you use coal at that rate, you and I will soon be parting company, Bob Cratchit. You understand that? There's many a young fellow who'd like your situation, you know.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Scrooge, but my fingers are getting a little stiff with the cold.
Then put on your mittens.
Yes, sir.
There's somebody at the door. Go see who it is.
Yes, Mr. Scrooge, I will.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Is this the firm of Scrooge and Marley?
Yes, sir, it is.
I'd like to see the head of the firm, if I may.
Oh, very good, sir.
Bob, what is it?
There's a gentleman to see you, Mr. Scrooge.
Have I the pleasure of addressing Mr. Scrooge or Mr. Marley?
Damn, Marley's been dead. 7 years tonight. I'm Scrooge.
Well now, Mr. Scrooge, at this season of the year, it's only fitting that we who are more fortunate should raise a fund to buy the poor some meat and drink and means of warmth. You may not believe it, sir, but many thousands are now in want of common necessities.
Yeah, Are there no prisons?
Well, there are plenty of prisons, sir.
And workhouses, I presume they are in operation too.
I wish I could say they are not, but they are, sir.
And the treadmill and the poor law, they're in full vigor then.
Both very busy, sir.
Woohoo! I'm glad to hear that. You know, I was afraid at first there that something had occurred to stop them in their useful course.
No, sir, all of these institutions that you mentioned are flourishing, but it's nevertheless true that some additional provisions for the poor and destitute must be made. A few of us, upon change, are endeavoring to raise such a fund. So what may we put you down for, sir?
Nothing.
Oh, you wish to remain anonymous.
I wish to be left alone. I don't make merry myself at Christmas time, and I can't afford to help make a lot of idle people merry. I help to support the establishments and take care of the poor. They cost enough. Let those who are badly off go there.
Many can't go there, sir, and many would rather die.
Then my advice to them is to do so.
And decrease the surplus population. Besides, I've only got your word for it on all of this.
It's the truth, Mr. Scrooge.
Well, so be it then. It's not my business. It's enough for a man to understand his own business, not to interfere with other people's. Mine occupies me constantly. Good afternoon, sir.
I quite understand, Mr. Scrooge. Good afternoon.
Cratchit, show this man out.
Yes, sir, Mr. Scrooge. Come this way, sir, if you will. I couldn't help but overhearing, but I would like to contribute something myself.
Cratchit!
Yes, sir. It isn't much, but it's all I can afford. I know there are others in worse situation than I.
You're a generous fellow. I wish I could say the same about your employer.
Cratchit!
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Shut the door!
Yes, sir. Okay. 34, 35, carry the 1. A new tippet for Tiny Tim, a comb for Martha. 37, 38, a hair ribbon for Belinda. 47, 48, 49.
Cratchit!
Yes, sir.
It's too late for you to go to Parthingale's. He'll be closed up for Christmas like all those other fools. We may as well shut the place down.
Yes, sir, it is getting a little dark. It's hard to see the figures.
I suppose you'll want the entire day off tomorrow?
Well, if it's convenient, sir.
It is not convenient, and it's not fair either. But I suppose I can't do anything about it. If I were to stop half a crown of your wages, you'd think it very ill-advised, outbound you.
Well, sir,
But you don't think me ill-advised when I pay a day's wages for no work?
It is only once a year, sir.
And once a year. Once a year indeed. A fine excuse for picking a man's pocket every 25th of December, but I suppose there's no good talking. You must have the whole day off. Well, we'll see you in here even earlier the next morning. You understand?
Yes, sir, I will. Oh, and good night, sir, and Merry Christmas.
And bah!
Merry Christmas.
Bleh!
The office was closed in a twinkling, and Bob Cratchit, with the long ends of his white comforter dangling below his waist, for he boasted no greatcoat, went down a slide on Cornhill 20 times in honor of its being Christmas Eve, and then ran home to Camden Town as hard as he could pelt to play with his family at Blind Man's Buff. Scrooge, on the other hand, took his melancholy dinner in his usual melancholy tavern. Having read all the newspapers and spent the rest of the evening with his banker's book, went to his dismal house. Darkness is cheap, and Scrooge liked it. The yard was so dark that even Scrooge, who knew its every stone, had to grope with his hands through the fog and frost to find the door. Scrooge walked through his rooms to see that all was right. Sitting room, bedroom, lumber room, all as they should be. Nobody under the table, nobody under the sofa, nobody under the bed, nobody in the closet. closed the door. He locked himself in. He double-locked himself in and took off his cravat, put on his dressing gown and slippers and his nightcap, and sat down before the fire to take his gruel.
Marley? Jacob Marley? I could have sworn I just saw old Jake. Oh, humbug. Marley's been dead these 7 years. It's all humbug. What I need is a good night's soup. Yeah, what is that? Sounds like somebody's in the wine cellar, but the door's locked. It's double locked. It's coming. It's coming to my door. It's outside my door. Oh, bah, I don't believe it. It's all humbug.
Ebenezer Scrooge. Ebenezer Scrooge.
Oh, no. What do you want with me?
I want much more of you, Ebenezer.
All right, who are you?
Ask me who I was.
You're awfully particular for a ghost. Okay, then. Who were you?
In life, I was your partner, Jacob Marley.
Blech. Jacob Marley, you are dead. 7 years today.
7 years ago this very night.
Oh.
What's wrong, Ebenezer? Don't you believe in me?
I do not.
You doubt your senses, Ebenezer?
Yes, because a little thing can affect them. A slight disorder of the stomach makes them cheat. You know, you can't be a ghost. You may be an undigested bit of beef, a blot of mustard, a crumb of cheese, a fragment of an underdone potato. There is more of gravy than the grave about you, whatever you are. Humbug, I tell you, humbug! Oh, I do believe you are a ghost, Jacob.
Thank you.
But why do you walk the earth, Jacob? Why have you come to me?
If it is required for every man that the spirit within him should walk among his fellow man and travel far and wide to witness what it cannot share, but might have shared on earth and turn to happiness.
But Jacob, what about that chain you wear around you?
I wear the chain I forged in life. I made it link by link, yard by yard of my own free will. Is its pattern strange to you, Ebenezer?
Cash boxes, keys, padlocks, ledgers, purses.
Yours was as heavy and long as this. 7 years ago, you have labored on its sense.
Oh, Jacob, speak comfort to me, Jacob, please.
Comfort I have none to give you. I cannot rest, I cannot stay, I cannot linger. Weary journeys lie before me.
7 years dead and still traveling all the time?
Yes, Ebenezer, on the wings of the wind. Ebenezer, do you know that no space of regret can make amends for one's life's opportunities misused?
Yes, but you were always a good man of business, Jacob.
Business? Mankind was my business. Charity, mercy, benevolence, they were my business. The dealings of my trade were but a drop of water in the comprehensive ocean of my business.
Jacob, don't take on so, Jacob.
Listen to me, Ebenezer.
I'll listen to you, Jacob. Go on, speak to me, but don't be so flowery.
Ebenezer, I am here to warn you that you have yet a chance of escaping my fate. Do you hear that, Ebenezer?
Yes, Jacob, yes, you always were a good friend to me, Jacob, thank you, but go on. How shall I escape? I'm afraid, Jacob.
You will be haunted by 3 spirits.
Is that the only chance and hope, Jacob?
It is your only chance and hope.
Well, then, I think I'd rather not.
Without their visits, you cannot hope to shun the path I tread. Expect the first tomorrow when the bell tolls 1.
Couldn't I take 'em all at once and just get 'em over with?
Ebenezer, look that for your own sake you remember what has passed between us. Remember when the bell tolls 1, look for the first spirit.
I'm Dennis Daly. You've just heard the first half of my personal version of A Christmas Carol, the story written by Charles Dickens, the author who gave us that story before the American Civil War, a story that revolutionized the way we celebrate Christmas. According to author Les Standiford, during Dickens' lifetime, he became so associated with Christmas it was unbelievable, even though he was well known as the author of other books and the inventor of other characters. There's one story of a woman who heard about Dickens' death in 1870 and was appalled. She said to a friend, "That means Father Christmas died also." As Standiford tells it, before writing A Christmas Carol, the story that would be forever linked with him, Dickens was debt-ridden and depressed. He knew he had to get some cash in the till somewhere to stall off his creditors. The result was A Christmas Carol. But oddly enough, Dickens couldn't find anyone who wanted to publish it. It was revolutionary and talked about the destruction of part of the social order. But Dickens knew A Christmas Carol had potential, although he couldn't get a nibble to publish it. He made the decision he would take what little cash he had left and publish it himself. He knew, as we say today, that he was betting the farm on it. He also knew that if A Christmas Carol were a flop, he would go down with it. But the book immediately caused a sensation. Many said it breathed new life into a holiday that had gotten tired, undermined by lingering Puritanism and the cold modern age of the Industrial Revolution. What Dickens had written was a harsh perspective on a truly dreary time. Most people were ready to embrace a book that so well summed up what was wrong with Victorian England and what must be done to fix a variety of genuine social problems. The reading to an assembled family of A Christmas Carol would become a tradition in many parts of the English-speaking world. There have been movies, stage plays, TV shows, and even cartoons about Scrooge and the wonderful cast of characters who populated his world. A Christmas Carol redirected our thinking about Christmas and gave the word giving a new meaning. Now, Act 2 of my one-man version of A Christmas Carol, especially for you during this holiday season. Scrooge awoke. He was lying on his bed, fully dressed. Suddenly, the curtains of his bed were drawn aside, and Scrooge found himself face to face with the unearthly visitor who drew them. It was a strange figure, like a child, yet not so like a child as like an old man. Its hair, which hung about its neck and down its back, was white as if with age, and yet the face had not a wrinkle in it, and the tenderest bloom was on the skin. The arms were long and muscular, the hands the same, as if its hold were of uncommon strength.
Ebenezer Scrooge.
Who is this?
Ebenezer Scrooge, I have come for you.
Are you the spirit whose coming was foretold me?
I am that spirit.
Well, what are you?
I am the ghost of Christmas past.
Christmas long past?
No, your past.
But what do you want from me? What brings you here to haunt me?
Your welfare, Ebenezer Scrooge. Rise and walk with me.
Oh, no, not out the window. I can't do that. I'll fall down. I'm not a spirit. I'm mortal. I'll fall.
Follow me.
And Scrooge followed, as the spirit led him up and up and farther back in time.
Spirit, where are we? It's snowing. What's become of the city? Where have we gone?
These are the shadows of the things that have been. Do you recognize this countryside?
Oh, I know every inch of it, every rock, every tree.
And that bleak building over there.
Oh, that building. I was a boy there. I went to school in that horrible place.
Do you recollect that path?
I could walk it blindfolded.
Strange. You should have forgotten it so many years. Let us go closer. Look through the window, Scrooge, in a barren room.
I see a boy.
A solitary child, neglected by his family, alone.
I know that boy.
Your lip is trembling, Scrooge. And what is that on your cheek?
Oh, no, it's nothing at all. I just wish but it's too late now.
What is the matter?
Nothing. Some waifs came to my door singing Christmas carols last night. There was a boy like that among them, a poor, pale, thin little boy in a ragged coat. I wish I'd given him something, that's all.
Is that all? Ebenezer Scrooge, come. Let us see another Christmas. Do you know this place, Ebenezer Scrooge?
Do I know it? It's the old counting house where I was apprenticed. Oh, that's my old master, bless his heart, old Fezziwig. He's alive, hosting one of his old Christmas parties.
That carefree young man with a light heart and gay smile. Do you recognize him?
Yes, merciful heaven, how happy I was back then.
A small matter for old Fezziwig to make those folks so full of joy.
Small matter, small indeed.
Isn't it? He has spent only a few pounds of your mortal money. Is that so much that he deserves praise?
It's not that, Spirit. Old Fezziwig had the power to make us happy or unhappy, to make our service light or heavy. His power was in his words, and things so tiny it's impossible to count them up. The happiness he gave us was not quite as great as if it cost,
What is the matter?
Nothing at all, Spirit.
Something, I think.
No, it's just that I'd like to be able to say a word or two to my clerk, Bob Cratchit, that's all.
My time grows brief, and there is something else you must see.
And the Spirit again carries Scrooge away to another time and another place. Scrooge looks down, seeing himself with a young girl at his side, but there are tears in her eyes. He watches as she breaks off her engagement with him, claiming that Scrooge's spirit has become altered because of his increasing love of money.
No, Spirit, take me back. I can't bear any more.
On the stroke of one, Scrooge awakened suddenly and sat bolt upright in his own bed. He remembered the words of Marley's ghost and wondered from which direction the second specter would appear. And at that moment, nothing between a baby and a rhinoceros would have astonished him very much. Now, being prepared for almost anything, he was not by any means prepared for nothing. And consequently, when no shape appeared, he was taken with a violent fit of trembling. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, a quarter of an hour went by, yet nothing came. Then as he sat in his bed, he became aware gradually of a great blaze of ruddy light which seemed to shine upon him from the adjoining room. He got up softly and shuffled in his slippers to the room. It was his own sitting room, no doubt about that, but it had undergone a surprising transformation. The walls and ceiling were so hung with living green that it looked a perfect grove, from every part of which bright gleaming berries glistened, and such a mighty blaze went roaring up the chimney as had never been known in Scrooge's time, or for many and many a winter season gone. Heaped up on the floor to form a kind of throne were turkeys, geese, game, poultry, great joints of meat, long wreaths of sausages, mince pies, plum puddings, barrels of oysters, red-hot chestnuts, and seething bowls of punch that made the chamber dim with their delicious steam. In easy state upon this couch there sat a jolly giant, glorious to see, who bore a glowing torch, in shape not unlike Plenty's horn, and held it up, high up, to shed its light on Scrooge as he came peeping round the door.
Come in, Ebenezer Scrooge, and know me better, man.
Yeah, who are you?
I am the ghost of Christmas present. Look upon me. You've never seen the likes of me before.
You're different from the other spirit. You're tall. You're almost a giant. You carry a great torch.
Its light pours into the homes of rich and poor alike.
Spirit, take me where you will. Last time I went against my will, and I learned a lesson which is working now. If you have anything to teach me, let me profit by it.
Touch my robe, Ebenezer Scrooge. Touch my robe.
Spirit, what is that below us?
A humble dwelling on a humble street.
It is a humble place.
Yet there is happiness here.
And through the window I can see a family.
This is the family of your clerk, Bob Cratchit. His wife in twice-turned gown, but rich in ribbons, laying the table for Christmas dinner. Come down with me.
Oh, Spirit, how happy they seem. And there's Bob Cratchit just coming in the door.
Bob, welcome home. And how did Tiny Tim like church?
Oh dear, he was as good as gold, just as ever.
And Mother, they sang all kinds of nice songs. I hope people saw me.
Saw you, Tiny Tim, and why?
Well, don't you see, because I'm lame. If they saw my crutch, it might be pleasant for them to remember on Christmas who it was who made the lame beggars walk and the blind men see.
Oh, God bless you, my son.
Tell me, Spirit, will Tiny Tim live?
I see a vacant seat in the poor chimney corner and a crutch without an owner, carefully preserved.
No, Spirit. Say his life will be spared. Tell me Tiny Tim will live.
If these shadows remain unaltered by the future, Ebenezer, the child will die.
And the poor but happy Cratchit family toasted the season with what little they had. They reluctantly toasted Scrooge, the bringer of the feast, and Tiny Tim had a special blessing.
God bless us, everyone!
There was nothing of high mark in all of this. They were not a handsome family, those Cratchits. They were not well dressed. Their shoes were far from being waterproof. Their clothes were scanty and had known, very likely, the insides of a pawnbroker's. But they were happy, grateful, pleased with one another, contented with the time. When at last they faded, Scrooge had his eye upon them, and especially on Tiny Tim, until the last. Many calls Scrooge made that night with the ghost of Christmas present. Down among the miners they went, who labor in the bowels of the earth, and out to sea among the sailors at their watch, dark, ghostly figures in their several stations. Much they saw, and far they went, and many places they visited, but always with a happy end. The spirits stood beside sick beds, and they were cheerful, on foreign lands, and they were close to home, by poverty, and it was rich. in almshouse, hospital, and jail, where vain man in his brief authority has not made fast the door and barred the Spirit out, the Spirit left his blessing. It was a long night, if it was only a night. And it was strange, too. And while Scrooge remained unaltered in his outward form, the ghost grew older, clearly older.
My life upon this globe is very brief, Ebenezer Scrooge. It ends tonight.
Tonight?
Tonight at midnight. Hark! The hour has come.
No, not yet. There are still so many things I want to learn.
These you will learn from still another spirit, Ebenezer. Still another spirit.
Scrooge looked about him for the ghost. It had vanished, and he found himself once more in his bed, in his dressing gown and his nightcap on his head. He heard the clock strike. And then he remembered the prediction of old Jacob Marley, and lifting up his eyes, beheld the third spirit. A solemn phantom, shrouded in black, draped and hooded, coming toward him slowly and silently, like a mist along the ground.
I know you. You're the ghost of Christmas yet to come. You'll show me the shadow of things that have not happened, but will happen in the time before us. Answer me, spirit, ghost of the future. I fear you more than any specter I've seen. Yet I know your purpose is to do me good, and I hope to live to be another man from what I was. So lead on, the night's waning fast. Time is precious. Oh, Spirit, why have you brought me back here? Back to Bob Cratchit's home, but things are not the same.
I went to the churchyard today, dear. I wish you could have gone with me. It would have done your heart good to see how sweet and green a place it is. But you will see it often. I promised Tiny Tim we would walk there on Sunday. I'm trying to understand it too, my dear. My son, my little son, Tiny Tim, I loved him so.
Spirit, that's cruel, it's cruel. Can you give me one ray of hope that I can change all of this, that Tiny Tim will live? Oh, Spirit, where are you taking me now? Spirit, where are we now? Oh, merciful heaven, it's a churchyard overrun with weeds, choked with too much burying, crumbling gravestones. Spirit, before I draw nearer to that gravestone, answer me one question. Are these the shadows of the things that will be, or the things that may be only? Will you not speak to me, Spirit? What is that grave to which you point? Oh, now I see it. There's writing on that stone. The name on the gravestone is Ebenezer Scrooge. Ebenezer Scrooge. Oh, no, Spirit, hear me. I am not the man I was. Why show me this if I am past all hope? Tell me I can change these dreadful shadows you've shown me by an altered life. I will honor Christmas in my heart. I'll keep it all year. I'll live in the past, the present, and the future. I will not shut out the lessons that they teach. Tell me, Spirit, oh, go on, tell me I can sponge away the writing on that stone. Spirit, I beg you, Spirit. Oh, Spirit, I promise on my knees. I promise. Why, what's this? It's my own drapes. I'm home. I'm in my own bed. Let me go to the window. Oh, the sun is shining. It's clear. It's bright. No fog. What a beautiful day. It's glorious. Hey, boy.
Yes, sir?
Say, what is today?
Today? Well, it's Christmas Day.
Christmas Day, then I haven't missed it. The spirits have done it all in one night. Heaven be praised. Listen, my lad, you know where the poulterer is in the next street?
Yes, sir.
Oh, what an intelligent boy, remarkable boy. Tell me, do you know if they've sold that prize turkey hanging in the window?
The one as big as me? It's hanging there still.
Wonderful! Then go down, tell them to send it to Bob Cratchit on Broad Street. Tell them not to say who paid for it. Now go along, hurry, 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 here. Wait a minute. Here's $50 for your trouble. Oh, Merry Christmas, everybody. Oh, I'm as light as a feather. I'm happy as an angel. I'm merry as a schoolboy. Merry Christmas! Merry Christmas, everybody! Happy New Year! Oh!
And Scrooge dressed and went out into the street, wishing everyone a Merry Christmas. Then he ran into the man who had come to his office asking for money and quietly took him aside.
Sir, over here, please. I'd like to make a little contribution here for Christmas, and do me a favor, don't say anything about it, please, and then come by and see me again.
Next morning, Scrooge was early at his office. He went early for a reason. If he could only be there first and catch Bob Cratchit coming late, that was the thing he'd set his heart upon. And he did it. Yes, he did. The clock struck 9, no Bob. 1:15, no Bob. Scrooge sat with the door wide open so that he might see him come in. At last he came. His hat was off before he opened the door, his comforter too. He was on his stool in a jiffy, driving away with his pen as if he were trying to overtake 9 o'clock.
15 and 21, 6, carry the 1, 24, carry the 2, 35.
Hey, Cratchit!
Yes, sir.
Step this way, Cratchit, if you please.
Yes, sir. Yes, Mr. Scrooge. Yes, sir.
Say, Cratchit, what do you mean by coming in this time of day?
Well, I'm very sorry, sir. I'm behind my time.
Yes, you are. I think you are.
Well, it's only once a year, Mr. Cratchit. It shall not be repeated. I was making rather merry yesterday, sir.
Well, I'll tell you, my friend, I will not stand for this sort of thing, and therefore, Bob Cratchit, I'm going to raise your salary.
Mr. Scrooge, are you yourself, sir?
No, thank heaven I'm not quite myself. Merry Christmas, Bob. Merry Christmas, my good fellow, and a merrier Christmas than I've given you in many a year. I'll raise your salary, and we'll see what we can do for Tiny Tim and the rest of your family. We'll discuss it this afternoon over a bowl of smoking bishop. The fire and make it up and up. Buy another scuttle of coal before you dot another I, Bob Cratchit.
Scrooge was better than his word. He did it all and infinitely more. To Tiny Tim, who did not die, he was a second father. He became as good a friend, as good a master, as good a man as the good old city knew, or any good old city, town, or borough in the good old world. Some people laughed to see the alteration in him, but he let them laugh and little heeded them. His own heart laughed. That was quite enough for him. He had no further intercourse with spirits, but lived upon the total abstinence principle even afterwards. And it was always said of him that he knew how to keep Christmas well, if any man alive possessed the knowledge. And may that truly be said of us, of all of us. And so, as Tiny Tim observed,
God bless us, everyone!
I hope you enjoyed that. I had a lot of fun doing it. Someone asked me the other day how I came up with the idea of doing a one-man Christmas carol. Well, if you're like me, you experiment with voices a lot. And I started
Talking like this, kind of an old man.
And I said to myself,
Mankind was my business.
which is Marley's line. Then it occurred to me there was no way I could use it unless I did the entire Christmas carol. Merry Christmas to you and yours. I'm Dennis Daly.